going to be setting up the headspace on this 243 Ackley Improved, and sorry for the lighting, it's a little weird in here today, but I apologize up front. This is probably going to be a little bit of a long video, most likely, so bear with me, but let's get to it. I got the barrel today, so really nice barrel, 26-inch. And a real nice 11-degree crown here. Just a beautiful work of art here from Schillen. Bought several rifle barrels from them and impressed every time. And they always shoot just lights out. Really enjoy shooting these barrels. Now, a couple things. This barrel is a ratcheted rifled barrel. This is not your standard 6 lands and groove, just like every other barrel out there. This only has 4 lands and grooves. Been doing some research. I did talk to Schillen on this, which, by the way, Sherry from Schillen sent me this awesome Schillen hat. Really like it. So there's a few things that make a ratchet rifle barrel shine above the standard 6 groove rifle barrel, and that is number one, you're only shoving the bullet through 4 riflings versus 6, and so you're not cutting into that bullet quite as much. It is less affected by the wind for a couple reasons. Number one, on a ratcheted rifled barrel, you have one of the riflings that is beveled on one edge, and I'll throw a picture up here for you while I'm talking. You can clearly see the difference between the two. Now, the wind isn't going to have quite as many edges to catch, and also one of those edges is beveled, and especially in a right-hand twist. But the bullets being pushed down a ratcheted rifle barrel travel faster. And that's pretty simple math. The faster the bullet, the less time in the wind, the less effect the wind has on the bullet, simply because of time. So I have personally never shot a ratcheted rifle barrel, and when I ordered this barrel, I was talking to Sherry down there, which, by the way, if anybody's looking to buy a barrel, call Schillen, talk to Sherry. She's super cool and comes through for me every time. So I hats off to no pun intended, hats off to Sherry. But a lot of real professional shooters, big competition shooters and stuff, shoot the ratchet rifle barrels, and to me that says a lot just based on that. But I personally don't have experience. We will have that shortly. So, but these are great barrels. So this is what we are going to be installing, 243 Ackley Improved, and this is well, I can't wait to get this gun together. This is going to be so cool. We're going to be setting up the headspace on this Savage rifle build. One thing that we have to do, we've done all the some bolt work and different things, but we have to take the ejector out of here. And how we do that, how I do that, is I take a drill bit, just an old garbage drill bit. It actually broke on me, so I'm using it. If you can find a punch this small, certainly use a punch, but there's a little hole right here, just that little guy, and simply put that in there. You're going to have to keep a finger or some tape or something across this, because when you punch this out and pull this back out, it goes flying. So let's get this over here on the bench, move the camera for you, see how we do this real quick. Okay, so I've got just a little chunk of cedar here. Reason I use cedar is because it's very, very soft. And now I gave this thing a smack already. All we're trying to do here is there's a pin right here, and we have to drive that out. And that'll allow this to come out of here. So I'm going to put my finger over the front here, and we'll just take a brass drift. You can use a regular hammer if you want. Brass is better because drill bits are very hard. So I'm just going to set this here at a very slight angle and just, okay, now that pin came out quite a bit further there. Now I should be able just to grab this pin, pull it out, and set it down over here. Now I'm going to pull my drill bit out, keep your finger over the top, gently release the spring pressure, and this will come out of here with a spring just like that. Now this has a notch cut in it right there, and that notch is where the pin passes to keep that held in place. So it's pretty simple, and then you'll notice, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well in the camera, but one side of the pin has kind of a knurling on it, so to speak, and that is the piece that sort of helps lock it in there, cuts into the metal just a little bit. So keep those off to the side here, and this is now ready to help get our headspace set up. When we close this, we don't want that extra spring pressure pushing on the headspace gauge. So, okay, the very first thing that we want to do is take the barrel nut like this and get this screwed down onto the barrel. Now, these are notorious for being a little bit tight, so we're going to have to put this in the vise, take our barrel nut wrench, and run this down about as far as we can go, because we want to make sure we give ourselves plenty of room once this is screwed down to get that headspace set up. So let me get this mounted in the vise here, come right back. Alright, I just took my wood blocks here, and you're going to need a barrel nut wrench, obviously. There's two styles. There's a rounded style and a squared style. This happens to be the squared one, so put this on here and simply run it down. Going to want to run this down, like I said before, about as far as you can go. So I won't bore you with this. Be back in a second. Okay, I remounted the barrel in here, and we want to make sure we have our go gauge for the Ackley, or whatever caliber you might be building. And whatever you do, don't drop this gauge. If you put a ding anywhere in here, on the head or the shoulder, the gauge is worthless, so hang on tight. Also want to make sure you have a no-go gauge handy. So we're going to need our recoil lug. Slip that on. Your empty action. Now, before I screw that on there, I want to show you guys something very common with a Savage. You have a cutout right here, you have a button right there, and they go just like so. So make sure that you keep that in mind, that everything is facing the proper way. This should be a fairly snug fit. You should be able to turn it by hand, but it should be tight. And you may need to get a different wrench for this, so let's do that here real quick. You might need one of these, well, you will need one of these action wrenches here. And there's a bronze insert that actually it'll just come in and out if you want it to. I like to make sure that the bronze is filling the gap of the wedge here. So we're going to snake this thing on here carefully. And it's going to leave some bronze coloring on your action. Don't worry, it'll wipe right off. Then we can simply tighten this bolt up. That'll lock it down. And that will simply nope, that locked it down too tight. One thing we're going to check here real quick is we're going to take our go gauge, put that in there, and make sure that closes, which it does. When you pull this out, make sure you're holding on tight to your gauge here so you don't drop it. I'm going to back this up just a little bit so I'm not squishing on the threads. Normally I just spin this around, but because of the camera angle, I'm going to have to do it this way. Ah. I'm feeling some resistance right there. So I know we're getting really, that's pretty tight actually. May have to back that up just a little bit. Okay, that closes nice and smooth. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my no-go gauge, slide that in there. Nope, no go, will not close. Double check it with this one here. Closes nice. One thing I forgot to do is put the wrench on here. So I'm going to have to unchuck this thing here real quick, slide the wrench on here, chuck it back up so we can get this barrel nut tight. So let me do that real quick. Whoops. Okay, so I chucked this thing up. I have my barrel nut wrench on here and still have my action wrench on here. Now, we're going to go through this process several times, but I'm going to put my go gauge in. Still closes very nicely. You'll be doing this a lot. So, no go gauge. Slide that in. Nope, will not close. So we're good there. But now we got to start tightening this up. Remember to keep your recoil lug locked in place where it belongs. So I'm going to hold the action wrench and the barrel wrench here and just lock it up. Now I'll take my go gauge again. Yep. No go gauge. Nope. Now, we got to torque this thing. So, let's do that. Okay, you're going to need some quality tools for this. This is a snap-on torque wrench. And you're also going to need some sort of a big breaker bar or something like that. Doesn't have to be quality, just something that works. Now, all we're looking to do is basically torque this down without moving anything here, and we're going to be double checking a lot of stuff as we do this, but I like to torque the barrels down to 35 to 40 foot-pounds. That is my personal preference. I don't actually know what the specs are, to be honest with you, but I'm going to go 35 on this. And put that in there. Put this one here. And here we go. There's 35. You know what? I'm going to go 40. There's 40 foot-pounds. Okay, that's locked in. You always want to make sure you back your torque wrenches off too. Otherwise they will give you some really bad readings. Okay, so we're going to take our Ackley Go Gauge from Manson Gauges. Put that in there one more time. And we still have a nice, really nice bolt close. Take our no-go gauge, slide that in there. No go, not at all, not even close. Now, I like to do one more thing. Let me change a camera angle here, show you what I'm going to do. For my next trick, tape, dial calipers. I'm going to measure the tape here. Tape measures at 3/1000ths of an inch. So I'm going to take a piece of tape here, put it right on the back of that gauge, tear me a piece off like so. Then I'm going to take this little nifty razor blade. I'm going to come at an angle. I've got this angled like so, and I'm going to very gently cut this tape off. What I'm left with is a piece of tape on the back there, and I want to push it down nice and tight. Make sure that there's no bubbles or creases or anything weird on there. Nice and flat on there. I'm going to go rechamber this thing. Let's go take a look. Come with me. Like so. Now, this should not close. There's some resistance. Now I could force it because it's tape, but it's not going. It's just a way to verify really what you're looking for. Now you can see, well, maybe you can't see, it's a little dirty, right? You can see where it's been pushed on there, but it's certainly not going to close. Welcome back. That's just sort of a reassurance to me that it's set up correctly. And I know some people bulk at the tape method, but I use the go gauge, the no-go gauge, and that is just a way for me to just verify in my own mind that we have 3/1000ths of an inch, which is kind of the optimal headspace. The gauge differences, because one's made by Foster, one's made by Manson. Make sure there's nothing funky going on there, and there's not. So the headspace is set, it is torqued, we are ready to bed. So until next time, thanks for watching. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and more importantly, subscribe, share it with your friends and family, get the word out. These are amazing projects, they're super fun, and I hope everybody is enjoying the series, so stay tuned.